things was never fair. I'd rather be this starving artist, experience life now at its farthest. One blue sky, we are under, torn and shred now, ripped asunder. The politics, war and famine. I thank God I'm still here jamming. Train your mind.
What's up, everyone? If it looks like I just woke up, that's because I did. I had a crazy dream last night. And considering the fact that there's a lot of crazy nonsense on YouTube, but for the most part, it's pretty entertaining. I thought I would reiterate the dream that I had last night into a sort of timeline and story about the Earth and its true history. I hope you all enjoy my presentation. Where to begin? How about the proposed beginning of all beginnings, where around 13.7 billion years ago, all matter, energy, light was contained within one singular event, known as a singularity, and from this singular expansion, known as the Big Bang, all things came to be that we know to be today. Or others think that the 13.7 billion year event horizon in which we see is merely the point in which we can no longer see beyond, due to the fact that the universe is infinite and eternal. So imagine the universe as being like one giant gumball machine, where each gumball within the machine is another gumball machine, and each gumball represents a viable universe. And as the gumball is dispensed, it has the potential to become the universe it was once housed within, housing universes within itself, all over again. So we have this never-ending chain reaction of creation and viable events for a universe to come into being. That being said, eventually, what is proposed is that a universe comes along which is viable given the conditions of life to occur, for life to occur. That being said, it's really sort of a roundabout thing to kind of wrap your head around, because if all things are always being created at all times and it's infinite and never ending, how do I know that this event that I'm experiencing right now didn't just come into being right now during this moment in time? So, given that, let's move on to what is known as the habitable zone, or the zone which is generally recognized for a requirement of carbon-based life forms, where a planetary body containing water at a relative distance from the solar center allows it to contain the proper atmospheric conditions for life to proliferate itself. And now we see the vast cosmos of space and time itself, and we are traveling through them at this moment. Right? It is immense, so immense. And many propose that life itself originated outside of our solar system. And in fact, due to the constant bombarding of planet Earth from celestial bodies, bringing life into the planet as we know it today. So let's look at an animation of alien interaction. So we have here the Earth. And then we have here our alien ancestors, consciously adding life to our planet. And then down here, we have abiogenetic, randomly collected molecular material, which could have actually been the influential imprint needed to start life on Earth. But then ultimately, do we not ourselves become the aliens as we travel off into space, possibly seeding other planets, creating a continual cycle that never ends, life creating life beyond life, in which there was no non-life before life, because life has always been? Or ultimately, are we the product of miraculous chaos in which we ourselves are part of the chaotic process, ultimately going back to chaos? And even if we are the byproduct of alien intervention, then where did that alien intervention itself originate from? Is it a process of this chaotic expanse? Has life always been? Or is the ultimate question about to be answered? Is the initial point, which becomes all things, that which we deify ourselves to be the one, the true God, from which all things are, all things to be, always were, and never end, and they're always continuing to be other than that which they are, in a state of existence, but also in non-existence, where things are, but they aren't,
and everything that could be always is. I don't know anymore. Am I dead or am I alive? Everybody's dead in the future. Oh. Puck it. Traveling back to outer space, taking with us what we've learned about conscious intervention, now looking at notions of panspermia. And as you travel through the vast cosmos of space, it's pretty much statistically probable that, a lot of these bodies contain genetic and molecular materials required to form complex organisms. And as they bombard celestial bodies such as planet Earth, they coincide with a lot of the conditions that are going on the Earth at the time, or the planet at the time, and it helps spur life into being through, abiogenesis, where simple, chains, amino chains and other chains and proteins and RNAs become structures which contain DNA. And this occurs in deep crevices near the Earth's, floor, or the ocean floor, so to speak, where there are crevices, and it is a very extremophile environment. And from this extremophilic environment comes life as we know it. It's kind of like this sperm interacting with an ova and causing this single-celled thing to become a multi-celled organism, tissues, organs all form, and it becomes a much larger thing than it once was. And out of these events come the tree of life, and a lot of people and a lot of evidence shows that there is what is known as Luca, the last universal common ancestor, and people have been searching for it forever. But from Luca comes the monophylogeny of all things on the tree, including you. And here we have the original Council of Elrond. Yes, Peter Jackson did an amazing job on makeup and dressing them up to look a lot more attractive than they originally were. And it was up to them to either unite as one or to fall as many beneath the shackles of doom and despair. But they rose, and rose higher than ever before, creating the vast city known as Atlantis. And these people thrived, but they knew something was up. They knew something was going to happen. So they built and looked outward and onward into space and the vastness from which they originally came, for there was a cataclysm coming. So they reached for the stars and saw the moon as a potential hub for a preservation of life. This preservation of life which is so important. They built an underground base on the moon, and from this base came what we know to be extraterrestrial gray aliens, who evolved in their own civilization. But they were safe, for now, from the cataclysmic event that came to doom and gloom upon the entire face of the planet. And from this cataclysmic event, all life as we know it was washed back to early tribal times, in which you gathered corn and were nearly naked. But life again once found a way, and through the mist and the darkness, greatness came. But there were those who sought to take control, and there was yet another who saw his way and will. And it was he who decided to unite under common goal and create a psycho-pseudodelic nightmare in which we call our today's reality, where there are advanced hyperdimensional time portals allowing us to communicate messages through space and time itself at immense speeds and proportions previously unthought possible. Yes, I said unthought possible because it's a reverse analogy of how you can't even comprehend it. Like this trans-dimensional liquid oscillating crystal device which transmits images to your occipital lobe.
or this device which allows you to telepathically communicate using brain waves transmitted to your vocal cords through an electronic circuit, allowing you to use a device of oscillating crystals transmitting electromagnetic waves like a crystal ball. What the?
You are also a took. Did you know that your great-great-great-great-uncle Bullroarer Took was so large he could ride a real horse? Yes, well, he could. In the Battle of Green Fields, he charged the goblin ranks. He swung his club so hard, it knocked the goblin king's head clean off, and it sailed 100 yards through the air and went down a rabbit hole. And thus the battle was won. And the game of golf invented at the same time.
I do believe you made that up.
Well, all good stories deserve embellishment.
And that's not even the weirdest part. The weirdest part being is that fake things exist in a real universe, making them as real as reality. Not necessarily in the sense that they actually occurred, but they did kind of actually occur, even though it was fake. So they fakely really actually occurred in reality, but they didn't actually really happen. But they did happen because somebody made it happen. It's like playing a video game. Even though it's fake, the video game actually is real because the game itself exists in reality. Not necessarily in the sense that it exists in reality outside of the game, meaning that the game itself is a historical event, but in the sense that you actually played through the game, it was a historical event and it really did actually happen. Your history. Just like any movie or book in which you read, which was totally false, made up, and fictitious, then becomes a part of your reality as you consume this information and knowledge and let it become a part of your waking life. Now that's the weird part. So whether or not you believe this story to be true, you've now participated in the making of this story's truth by allowing it to become a part of your true history. And in the resuscitation of all that you've went through to become who you are today, and if your story was to be told again through the eons of time, becoming an eventuality through your immortality, what this story was, what was said, what was done, would eventually happen again and be told within your life, making it as real as you are. Peace, Nicka!
Train your mind, now hear my words. Twitter, paid in little birds. If you've kept up with all my posts, then your life's just like a ghost, already dead in the machine. The screen and life, one's in between.